Pokémon evolution. In other words, Pokémon becoming stronger, cooler versions of themselves. Most of the time. What have I told you? There are some Pokémon that actually get weaker when they evolve. Well, I've made a list of exactly this. Pokémon that get worse upon evolution. Let's start with Pokémon evolutions that mostly get worse in battle, and where better to start than with Pikachu. Now Raichu isn't completely worse than Pikachu when it comes to battling, since Raichu has actually been on a world champion winning team. However, there are still some factors leaning towards Pikachu's favour. Stat-wise, Raichu is clearly superior. However, Pikachu's saving grace comes in the form of the item Light Ball. This doubles both Pikachu's attack stats, and when I say double, I'm not talking about Pikachu's base 55 attack stat becoming 110. I mean the number itself doubles, making Pikachu's base attack stats closer to 150. To compare, Pikachu's attack stat while holding a Light Ball becomes higher than Rayquaza's attack stat. So while Raichu might be faster than Pikachu, it's nowhere near as powerful. Pikachu has a lot of other things also going for it, such as the partner Pikachu in Let's Go, having some of the most unbalanced moves in any Pokemon game, a Gigantamax form that can paralyze all the opponents, and most importantly, a much better fashion sense. Overall, Pikachu is kind of crazier than some people give it credit for. Another Pokemon that arguably gets weaker upon evolving is Vigoroth. You all know where this is going. On paper, Vigoroth's evolution slacking is clearly better in every way, except it also gains the Truant ability, aka the single worst ability in the game, where every other turn slacking does absolutely nothing. There is a reason why, despite having stats that rival legendaries, slacking is considered a terrible competitive Pokemon. Now when it comes to Pokemon potentially outshining their evolution in battle, a lot of the time, that's thanks to one item. In Pikachu's case, it's the Light Ball. In other Pokemon's case, it's the Eviolite. This item only works on Pokemon that can evolve, and boosts their defense stats by 50%. And there so happens to be a few Pokemon that take huge advantage of this. So much so that they completely outdo their own evolution. A prime example would be Porygon 2. Upon evolving into Porygon Z, its total stats only increased by 20, losing its already good defense for special attack and speed. As I said, Porygon 2's defense stats are already pretty good. Add a 50% boost to them from Eviolite, and Porygon 2's stats become comparable to Deoxys' defense form, and since Porygon 2 has a much better HP stat than Deoxys, combine that with its already really good special attack, and access to recover, you can see why Porygon 2 is a lot more annoying to deal with than its own evolution. Some other notable Eviolite users that are able to outshine their evolutions would be Chansey, taking its already monstrous HP and great special defense, turning it into probably the biggest special wall in the game. Dusclops, its defense and HP are already pretty close to its evolutions, and with Eviolite, it's able to tank hits that Dusknoir wishes it could. It may not be able to hit very hard, but that doesn't really matter when your plan is to burn, confuse, and pain split the opponent. And Corsola, Galarian form. Combine a bulky ghost type with already good defenses with the Muth Strength Sap. Physical attackers are in for a miserable time. Moving on from regular evolutions, let's talk about Mega Evolutions. On the surface, Mega evolving a Pokemon doesn't look like there's any downside, and for most Mega Pokemon there isn't, except one blatant drawback. The Pokemon's item slot is now being used, except for Mega Rayquaza, but he's cheating. Now a Mega Stone is obviously going to be way more valuable than almost any competitive item, unless you're Blaziken. Now while Mega Blaziken does have much better stats than its regular form, both regular and Mega Blaziken have the same strategy: Speed Boost, Sword Dance, and Sweep. Mega Blaziken might be stronger and faster, however being faster doesn't really matter when you have the ability Speed Boost, and you're going to be outspeeding everything anyway. And moves like Sword Dance are going to be more than enough to help sweep a team, meaning some extra power doesn't mean much either. Blaziken's biggest weakness is that it's a glass cannon, and Talonflame. One strong hit is going to take Blaziken out most of the time, meaning that Mega Blaziken isn't that much better than its regular form, so much so that a Focus Sash is arguably more useful of an item on Blaziken than its own Mega Stone. It also means that you can use a different, better Mega Evolution on your team, rather than wasting it on a Pokemon that might sweep the opponent, or be a complete waste of a slot. making regular Blaziken possibly a lot more useful than its own Mega. You know what other Pokemon is seen as better than its own Mega evolution? Garchomp. This Pokemon is already near competitively perfect, and Mega evolving it makes it worse by one simple factor. Garchomp becomes slower when it Mega evolves. Garchomp's 102 speed stat was perfect for speed creeping Pokemon with 95 and 100 speed. However, dropping its speed down to 92 upon Mega evolving, that's a big deal. It doesn't matter how hard Mega Garchomp hits, when it's going to be moving last a lot more of the time. Now this wouldn't have been as bad if Mega Garchomp had a reliable way of making it faster than the opponent, like having the ability Sand Rush, doubling its speed in the Sandstorm, or being able to learn Dragon Dance during the time that Garchomp could Mega Evolve. But no, speed is a very important factor in Pokemon battling, and Mega Garchomp is a prime example of this. Now we have Pokemon that are better than their evolution through gimmicks. While technically their evolution could also do the same job, the pre-evolutions are most known for these gimmicks. That being the Fear strategy. This is where you take a level 1 Rattata, give it a Focus Sash, the moves Endeavour and Quick Attack. How the battle goes is Rattata survives the opponent's attack with 1 HP, it then uses Endeavour to bring the opponent's Pokemon to 1 HP as well, and then finishes off the opponent with Quick Attack. Of course, this strategy has many holes in it, like not being effective against ghost types at all, moves that hit more than once, being burned or poisoned, etc. However, if the opponent isn't ready for it, it can sometimes work. And whenever Pokemon use this strategy, it's always with a Rattata, never a Raticate, because while a level 1 Raticate isn't going to be surviving any hits anyway, the weaker level 1 Pokemon is always better. Other pre-evolutions like Pikachu can also pull this off, and there are even Pokemon that are able to pull off this strategy better. However, Rattata is definitely the most known Pokemon for this strategy. Another Pokemon that is sometimes used more than its evolutions is Aron. Again, its evolutions could probably do the similar job, but people still use Aron. It has the ability Sturdy, which allows it to live any hit while at full HP, so the same as a Focus Sash. But this means that Aron doesn't need to hold a Focus Sash, being able to hold a different item, in this case, a Shell Bell. When it uses Endeavour, Shell Bell activates, healing Aron back to full health, and allowing Sturdy to kick in again. So you can imagine how annoying this strategy can be if you're not prepared for it. Next is a Pokemon that technically can't evolve, but I'm going to include it anyway, being Floette, specifically AZ's Floette. I put this in the same category as Partner Pikachu and Eevee. You can't evolve them, but they still technically have an evolution. AZ's Floette was never officially distributed, for some reason, and looking at its stats, the total is almost the same as Florges. Now we don't really know how this special Floette would have been in battle like Florges, but the fact that it has much better offenses, as well as its own signature move, Light of Ruin, an extremely powerful fairy type move, it definitely had the potential to outshine Florges. Also, I doubt that Eviolite would have worked on it, but if it did, there is absolutely no doubt it would have blown Florges out the water. Now we're going to look at this in a different light. Pokemon that are worse than their evolution because of how they look. Yeah, Pokemon whose designs, in my opinion, or other opinions, are better before they evolve. Let's start with an obvious one. I personally like Rhyperior, but there's no denying Rhydon is not only a much more solid design, it's also much more iconic, being one of, if not the first Pokemon ever created. So not surprising that some people see Rhyperior as a massive downgrade. Grovyle is one of my all-time favourite middle evolutions, and while Sceptile is still one of my favourite Pokemon, I do see why some people prefer Grovyle, from its cool looking head leaf to its character and mystery dungeon. Like I said, one of the best middle evolutions. Again, I like Serperior a lot, but it is pretty weird how Servine basically loses its arms. I think we all know at least one person that loves Dragonair and does not approve of what it becomes. Tepig is a perfectly designed cute pig starter. What the fuck? Salamence is a cool looking dragon. It also has a pretty controversial looking Mega Evolution. Delphox is definitely one of the most hated final starter evolutions. No wonder Brixton is the one that gets all the love. Aromatisse... ew. Chespin is a perfectly designed cute hedgehog starter. What the fuck? The Unova monkeys start off really solid, very cute. Then they become derp shit. And finally, we have Squirvet. What the f- And the last batch of Pokemon we're gonna look at are Pokemon whose evolutions have worse shiny forms. Starting with an obvious one, Ghastly. The blue gas colour really works well here. Haunter's is eh, and Gengar's, we all know the trouble here. His Mega Evolution is good though. Shiny Slugma has an amazing molten grey to it. Shiny Makago sucks. The Nidoran line were going for something so good here, swapping each other's colours until Nidoqueen ruined everything. Psyduck's shiny colour is blue. Looks great and works really well. Golduck's shiny colour is also blue, but Golduck was already blue, so what's the point? Shiny Rapidash is pretty cool, but let's be real, blue flames look great on everything, especially Ponyta. Tyrogue has a pretty underrated shiny. The combination of blue and grey works really well in my opinion. Hitmontop's shiny is decent, Hitmonchan's shiny is bad, and Hitmonlee's shiny is Vomit Green. Gible has a really nice shiny. Too bad it gets worse and worse as its evolutions go along. And finally, Charizard. The Y Mega Evolution is fine. The X Mega though? Just no. And those are a lot of Pokemon that arguably get worse as they evolve. Will we get more in the future? Quite possibly. And if there was any I missed, be sure to let me know in the comments. But most importantly, if you did enjoy, please do leave a like, as it does help the video out. Subscribe for more Pokemon content in the future. And until next time, thanks so much for watching.